Hello everybody, UBCS Wraith here, and I'm going to be starting a video series as of today about how to ride a motorcycle. This is going to be part 1, and in this part I'm going to cover your basic motorcycle controls and operations, and also how to start the bike. So before we start it, let's go ahead and look at our controls here. We've got a couple of buttons, let's see what they do. So on the left hand side, this lever right here, this is our clutch. Right here, this is our high beam switch. This is our turn signal. You're going to flick it left for the left turn signal, or flick it right for the right turn signal, and then when you're done, you're going to push it in. They don't auto-cancel, so keep that in mind. We have our horn down here. In the middle, we have our ignition, and also it doubles as a handlebar lock. Now on the right hand side of the bike, what do we have? The lever right here, this is our front brake. This is our throttle, or our gas. Our starter, and the engine stop. Now what about on the side of the bike? Well, the left side is for shifting, so the left lever here is our clutch. So it makes sense that down here, by your left foot is going to be the gear shift lever. You can push it up to upshift or down to downshift. And then on the right hand side, the right hand side's for braking, so you have the front brake right here. So it makes sense that we have the rear brake down here by your right foot. Simply push it down to actuate your rear brake. Now that we've gone over that, let's go ahead and talk about how do we start this thing. If you take the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course, they will teach you the acronym FINE-C, which it means fuel, ignition, neutral, engine stop, and then clutch. And those are the basic steps to starting pretty much any motorcycle. They work universally. Bikes, a lot of modern bikes, specifically sport bikes like this, you don't need to follow all of those steps. So for example, the first step is fuel. Well, there's sometimes a separate fuel thing to turn on and off the gas, typically on the side of the bike. When I took the MSF course, I was on a CBR 230. It was like a 1990, 1980 something. And there's a fuel bar over here. We can turn it on, off, and then reserve. We don't need that for a lot of modern bikes because when I turn on the ignition, which is the next step, my bike automatically turns the fuel pump on. Consequently, when I turn the ignition off, it turns the fuel pump off. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to turn on our ignition, which would normally be the second step. In this particular bike, when I turn on the ignition, the fuel automatically comes on too. So the next step is to put the bike in neutral, and the way we do that is we grab our clutch, pull the clutch in, and because I'm all the way in first gear, I'm going to click halfway up, and you're going to see the neutral light come on. So the way to kick into neutral is the gear shifter works like a ratchet. So it's in one position down here. So when you want to downshift, you're going to push it down, and then it's going to come back to its middle position. And when you want to upshift, you're going to push it up, and then it's going to come back down in the middle position again. Neutral is in between first and second. So if you're in, the easiest way to do is to click all the way down until you're in first gear. And then once you're in first gear, give it a half a kick up into neutral. And the easiest way to tell a neutral is, well, your neutral light's going to come on. Now that our neutral light is on, we can go to the next step, the engine stop. You usually want to make sure the engine stop is turned, well, make sure the engine is turned on. So on this bike, they actually recommend that you don't turn the engine off unless it's an emergency. So mine's always on. So now that that's done, what do we do next? Well, C, we're going to pull in the clutch. Just in case the bike is not in neutral, or we think it is, it's always safe practice to have the clutch pulled in anyway. And we're going to hit the starter. And the bike's going to turn on. Because it's in neutral, I can let go of the clutch, and we don't have any issues here. So there's the basics on how to start the bike. Stopping it's pretty easy too. Once again, the MSF methodology is called thumb key valve. So thumb, meaning you're going to thumb the ignition or I'm sorry, you're going to thumb the engine stop, which is going to turn the engine off, so you're going to hit that button. Key, you're going to turn the ignition off using the key, and then valve, you're going to turn the fuel off. This particular bike, and I think a lot of modern bikes are this way as well, it's not recommended that you turn off the engine while the bike is running unless it's an emergency, and the fuel is connected to the ignition, so if I want to turn this bike off, all I have to do is flip the ignition off, and that's all I have to do. Simple step, but the MSF methodologies, I guess, will work pretty much universally. So there's the basics on how to start the bike. Thanks for watching, guys.